everyone, and happy Friday. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our Summer Friday series in partnership with the Childcare Success Company. Please let us know in the chat where you're joining us, where you're tuning in from today. You may notice that your audio and video is turned off today, but that is just to ensure that everyone has the best viewing experience, but we definitely still want to hear from you. So the chat is open, as well as the reactions, the little emojis at the bottom of your screen. So as questions pop up, put them in the chat and we'll either get to them as our speakers are presenting, or we'll save them for the end. And use that reaction bar at the bottom to let our speakers know if something they say is resonating with what you're experiencing. Just give them a thumbs up and let them know. We'd love to see that engagement. And today we'll be talking about parent engagement and the parent experience, a topic that is always top of mind and super important. Just to let you know, you will be receiving a follow-up email from LineLeader on Monday morning with your certificate of attendance and a copy of the recording of today's session. And now I'd love to hand it over to our lovely presenters today, Ashley from the Childcare Success Company and Brett Neller from LineLeader.
Awesome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to chat today. Did I cut you off, Brett? Sorry. So no.
Go ahead.
I'm a coach for CCSC, and I also own 2 centers. So I love talking about all things childcare. And today I'm super excited because we're chatting about millennial and Gen Z expectations, which we are notoriously hard to please. Myself being a millennial, and a lot of parents that are in our schools fit in these age domains. And we live a fast-paced life. They want tech, they want immediate response. I mean, if you wait 24 hours, it's too late to get back to them. And so we really want to find ways that we can integrate that tech into our systems and our processes so that they have like that trust that they know what's going on and they have that transparent communication.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Ashley, for joining us today. Brett Neller, CEO at LineLeader, been with the company 7 years. I have little kids of my own, so I'm a parent, so I experience firsthand interactions with the operators every single day when I drop them off in the morning and ongoing. I was telling Ashley, sometimes I'll get a random message that my kid checked out, and it's a panic moment, but it was a mistake. So it's really, really key about how we communicate with families, because every touch point, whether you're trying to retain them or get them to enroll in your center, are equally important. And I'm excited to dive in a little bit today about all these things. So it's August 1st. I can't believe it's August already, which is bananas, crazy, but pumped to get into the summer's coming. Is it coming? Like we're halfway through, maybe, depending on how you. Some of the older kids are trying to go back to school in a couple of weeks, but it's crazy times here with families on vacation and getting back into the groove here post-summertime. So, thanks for joining us. Excited to kick this off. And I turn it over to Ashley, like meeting millennial and Gen Z expectation. If you have any questions along the way, drop them in the chat here. We'll pick them up as we go. But like we said, meeting millennial and Gen Z expectations, it's tough. And I don't know. Any pointers there, Ashley, on how you kind of approach that and
yeah,
what expectations are and what you've seen as a coach, but also an operator because you have 2 centers yourself?
Yeah, I found that over communication is the key. We think we're, communicating sufficiently, but, I always say, like, I would never give someone the keys to my car ever. If a stranger was like, here, like, can I drive your car? It would be absolutely not, but I'm going to give them my child. Like, that is just wild if you really think about the trust that they're giving us from the outset of the relationship. So I'm like, the least I can do is give them like a lot of updates and really give like a personalized, response for them. And I think in this field, we focus a lot on the touring process and how we want to make sure we're like touching them and responding to them, even if we have a lot of wait lists or things like that, never leaving someone without communication. But I do think that a big miss is not continuing to like date them, so to speak, right? Like you want to keep the relationship alive when they're in your center. And I found the easiest way with that is like a lot of updates a day. I know, competitors in my market, when I have parents come to me, they're like, oh, we get like one picture a week. And then, we do, I have like a posting guideline that the teachers have to follow. So like this many sets, this is how it has to be logged, like down to a template. So they're getting typically like 10 to 15 updates a day for a child.
Yeah.
And that is like the one thing that they're like, oh, that's great. No one else is doing that.
Yeah. Setting expectations with your staff. Cause I mean, they're in it every day, right? It's like hard to
Mhm.
take your head out and be like, okay, I should probably communicate to the parent right now because they're probably wondering what's going on with their kid in class and if they did eat their breakfast or if they did play. And over communication is key. Like I love it. I get my updates on my engagement app
Mhm.
throughout the day on everything. And if they're not happening, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It is crucial, I think, for any parent, regardless of what generation you fall in. Like the over communication is huge. You're communicating so much with them to get them to convince them that your center is the best for their child. And that doesn't stop because there will parents that will leave, right? After
Mhm.
the fact, if they feel like they were sold something. If you said, "Hey, you're going to get," you set expectation when you're giving the tour. You're going to get messages every day. You're going to get X number. Our standard is X, Y, and Z. And then after the fact, if that doesn't actually happen, they're going to be disappointed. So,
Yeah.
I love that you set the standards for your staff on how many messages or how many pictures you post. Right? I'm sure your staff
Yeah.
love it, but it's probably great for accountability perspective, and the parents love it.
It is true. And I always tell them, when they kind of hem and haw, it's like, I was a teacher for a number of years, so I know how hard it is. Like, you don't want to be on a tablet the whole time, obviously recording. So I even give tips on like what times of day to update, to keep it doable for them. But yeah, there is a lot of that. But then I say too, these parents are literally paying as a mortgage, right, to have their kid here. So like the least we can do is say like how much they ate for breakfast. I mean, like really, like and send some pictures. And that's just part of the job. So I did find I know tablets are really clunky for my teachers, and a lot of them I have Gen Z and Gen Alpha now, the oldest Gen Alpha as teachers. And they really like a phone, and I know phones are like a big no-no in this industry. But we kind of circumvented that, so we have classroom iPhones that are red and they have like a big case on them, and it's just easier for the teachers and the little hands to do it versus like a big tablet, and they've been able to get things done so much quicker with that. And then you can always tell like, oh, do they have a red phone out or is it their personal, it makes it easy.
That's a good idea. So one of the questions already is like, how do you balance that?
Hmm.
Like the teachers, you want the teachers spending as much time with the children
Hmm.
as possible. You don't want them on the tablet. So
No.
are there certain times where you schedule like, hey, like while during nap time you should catch up, or during lunch you should catch up? How do you kind of find balance between spending too much time on the technology and not enough times with the kids?
Yeah, so we are, my program is definitely like no tech for the kids or anything like that. So we don't want the teachers to be modeling something that we're not doing with the children. So we do combat that with there are times of the day to update, nap time's a huge one. And there's just like lulls in the day, but then also a big secret to it, which I know isn't always doable, is we do overstaff. So I'm overstaffed by like a teacher in every age group essentially. And so there's always, if like the main teacher or someone is doing an activity, there's someone extra that can come, like lend a hand. And my leadership team also, like, they're not counted into ratio most days. And so they're able to also help with that. So it's an expectation that it's everyone's job, myself included, if I'm in the classroom.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love the red phone thing. I've never heard that before. Or
Yeah.
the face. That's pretty good. I'm sure you can do it too, where you have phones that are just internet only, right? Or
They're
like,
they're bricks,
yeah,
Wi-Fi. Yeah, they're bricks otherwise. Yeah, it's just Wi-Fi.
perfect. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I heard and then if they're using the center tech hardware or not. So
Hmm.
interesting. Okay. Well, that's a good feedback. I think the next one, like we often talk about, is like consistent communication drives retention. So it's kind of a balance between
Hmm.
communicate. You want to over communicate, but you want to be consistent in the quality and how you're doing those things. Consistent, meaningful communication is the key factor. and family satisfaction, right? You sell that to the family when they're entrusting their child with you, like you're talking about. You won't give your keys
Yeah.
to somebody else, which I never even think about. That's crazy. Yeah, I would not give my keys, but I drop my kid off with folks I don't know intimately every single day. But the top performing centers, like we have seen from like benchmarking statistics, during the enrollment period, seven touch points, emails, updates, texts. So you can give them updates along the way in their enrollment journey. That's pretty common. Do you find when you're how do you look at the enrollment journey and communication, pre-registration, and what's important there?
Yeah, I think it's really finding out what's driving them. So like what's their why, right? Like, some people really need care because they have to immediately go back to work. Some have a soft launch into care because they want socialization. Everyone has a different why. And really finding that out. And like constantly communicating, like you said, like sending them updates. This is what the process looks like. This is what you can expect along the way. And then sticking to that process you're sending them. And then even, when they come in tour, asking what is the most important thing that your child experiences when they're in care? Like, what's your top priority while they're with us? And that, we have some people that bring up diet, like they really want a specific diet for their kid or outdoor time or, whatever it looks like. And kind of then using that as your launch pad to, customizing things later.
Yeah, I think if you haven't done it, we talk about this often too, is looking at your enrollment journey and mapping that out on how you want that to look for a typical family. Like, what do you want the follow-up email to look like? What do you want a check-in if
Mhm.
they haven't kind of registered to look like? And everybody at some point should look at digitally how they want the enrollment journey to be executed for a family, because there's a lot of brand standard stuff in there that you can outline. There's a lot of quality and communication and consistency, and there's proven practices on what works and doesn't work. Over communication is obviously going to be better than lack of communication, but I
Mhm.
would encourage everyone to go through and evaluate their enrollment kind of family journey and understand how many touch points you want the family to receive through workflow automation or whatnot along the way. So I think that changes every day, right? Like the texting is so big right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
That's so I
That's how
don't
they like to schedule tours. I found the best, like texting, and that's how I get them to come in for a tour because they just forget, like they're not reading their emails as much, I feel, as they used to. So it's all that immediate. But I do think if you look at your tour journey, I always like to build in there as well, like make sure you have, an intake meeting. I call an intake, prior to their first day too, so you can sit and have that like second touch point in person with them. And you can usually like tee that up with like automated emails, like this is your intake, this is what we're going to go over at it. So they just are updated because the worst thing is, they show up and they don't know where to go or what to do or their kid's teacher. And then there's all those questions. So I find that having that as like the last step of the process really builds that trust.
Yep. Yep. And question on like templates for enrollment journey. I think the coaches at the success on the success side, Ashley, as a coach, you guys help with that all the time, right? Mapping out the enrollment journey. We can help
We
out
do.
a bunch of different ways to slice it and dice it,
Hmm.
how you want to represent your center digitally to families or prospective families. So for those asking in the chat, Ashley and their team can help, but also LineLeader and our team can help map that out. So
Hmm.
we can provide some updates and send out some docs on that, but also you can reach out and we can help with
Hmm.
those with that exercise, because this is an exercise. You really got to think through it and be super thoughtful about it. Um,
Yeah.
all right. So like part of the enrollment journey and kind of communications around personalization and building long-term
Hmm.
associated with that. How do you look at like personalization and personalized onboarding, I guess, like tailored welcome messages, et cetera? Customized tour is huge, right? So like the tours like
Yes.
goal in the enrollment journey.
Yeah.
If you fumble the tour, like you're probably not going to convert that family to a
No. No, and that's where I think the big part in personalizing anything, but even the tour, is again, really finding out what's driving them so you can gear your tour to that. but then also knowing like essentially the tour stops in your building. So where is your area to shine and where is your area you might need to walk quickly over, right? Or like think of when you're doing tours. This, the transition between lunch and nap time typically isn't a time you're going to want to tour your program, right? So it's like really thinking about and being intentional on when you schedule things, how you schedule them, who your audience is. And then I think the bigger piece is knowing your story because you're selling a story. And I find that when they can connect to you, my story is my child goes to my building, right? So that's something I use in the tour process. But our director doesn't have a child in the program and she has 100% tour conversion rate. So she tells her why and why she's passionate about the field while weaving in, what they want based on like the intake questions. So I think that taking that time to find out like why you're doing this and why you're touring and why you believe in your company really goes a long way with like selling that tour. Um,
How do you, so
yeah,
like, when you're like, you can probably, it's your business, right? It's your center. You can probably give the best tour out there. How do you coach
yeah,
up when you're not around for somebody else to execute the tour? And then how do you, for the teachers that are in the classroom, make sure that they're like, smile at the family or like, acknowledge the family, prospective family as they're giving to you? How does everybody how do you get everybody prepared for a tour in the center?
yeah. We let them know like we have tours coming just so they're not like shocked at who is this person in here. But it's never like oh my God, a tour is coming, like straighten everything up, because you always want to be tour ready. Like that's kind of the plan or licensor ready, right? And I think we just really talk about the customer service piece. Like at the end of the day, yes, we're educators, but this is also a service. So that's something I do a lot of training and development on with the staff. Like we always want to have something nice to say. We always want to say hello. Even if it's the maintenance person coming in, you want to make sure that you're giving them that welcome because you're representing the brand. And so it goes back to like what are our core values as a company and kind of like integrating that. But with my director who toured, she toured with me often. So I would do like shadowing. But then I had her tell me her why. I made her tell me the whole story. And I was like, that's what you need to use. So it was some practice because she was very shy. But it was really, it just took like a lot of training and shadowing. So it takes time to nail it. But once you do, then it's easy.
Yeah, we encourage like when we're setting up our system for centers, like to script up to a certain point, like the key feature
Hmm.
selling points of a center, right? And
Yeah.
do they have that with them, like some sort of like tour kiosk kind of item, so that
Hmm.
going through like the menu or the enrichment activities that you provide, that they don't forget any of the main ones that are great value props for the parent. Uh,
Hmm.
so it's like there's a little bit of scripting involved, I would assume,
Yeah.
but you don't want them to be robots. So like everybody has their own personal story on why they love the mission behind ECE or why they love
Hmm.
the center in particular or working with the people there. So I guess finding a balance is really important too. You want to have some
Hmm.
talking points, but not be a robot. And the parents want to feel the emotion, right? Like
Yes.
the tour should be a big hug, like a big warm hug, right? You're walking
I
through.
love that.
And
It should.
that's how I feel like when we've shopped centers is like I felt like this one was a warm hug and maybe this one was a little cold, and people like
Yeah.
the energy, like people feel it. It's real. It's real.
Hmm. And I think too, I always tell my leadership team if they ever get nervous or like maybe they don't remember all the value props or any of our tour stops, just like make a human connection because you'll never go wrong if you do that. So like if you forget everything and you just ask questions, that's where you're going to get that warmth, right? And I think that that's why like if all else fails, just let the parents talk because millennial and Gen Z parents love to talk about their feelings. So just like let it rip.
Yes, they do. Yes, they. That's funny. And then like using technology, don't be scared to use technology. It's I
Hmm.
think it should help you. The goal of technology is to enable you to execute on these various elements of your operation in a more like streamlined fashion, or it allows you to do more with less. Kind of is kind of what you want to look at. But think we talked a little bit about media updates, setting some standards for your team on that is really important, and finding a balance between spending too much time on the tablet or the phone versus not enough. And then, yeah, over communication, consistent communication, regular updates to families to feel more connected, informed, and valued. So yeah, I think that's kind of the message we wanted to get out today. I don't know, Ashley, if there's anything else like pointers or tips or anything out there from just communication, balance, quality, keeping the parents informed, especially with the new generation of parents coming into seeking care.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, everything we talked about, but then also just, I don't know, from like a feelings perspective, I guess, just like, it can be overwhelming. There's so much in a day, especially if you're directing a program or, in any type of operational capacity in this field. It's fires to put out, it's nonstop. I mean, literally all day. And it can be hard to like remember your why or remember that. And so I always say, like, just go back to connection, because that's going to build that loyalty, and then use that technology as a tool to build the connection. And that's just been how I've coached people to be successful with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome guidance. Question here. What do you suggest for media updates? I don't know if like, I think you have some standards there for media updates on what you kind of like for your teachers to like benchmarks there. Is there anything you say, hey, I need this many a week, this many a day? How do you set the standard for your team?
Well, I told my team, if they are, beyond Facebook and Instagram, I was looking at the message. Media updates like in their day to day, I would say obviously like the food and naps and potties, diapers, like all of that has to be logged. But then I have them do like a morning set, an afternoon and evening set of pictures or like learning updates. They always have to have at least one like selfie shot of the kids. Like I just don't want, 5 group pictures where I can't see anyone's faces. So you have to look at the quality of it, right? And we just have it kind of set out as a template on like what applicable posting is, and always making sure to, in the background, nothing like weird's happening in the picture or anything that can be taken out of context.
Yeah.
But aside from like that, we pull from our daily like updates to parents, and we pull that, and that's how we build like our Facebook and Instagram content, is from what's already curated. So our staff member that does social media just goes and picks like the best moments, which is really helpful because then the parents are seeing that, and that's good from like a marketing. But we're not having to reinvent the wheel because we're just getting everything from what we already have taken throughout the week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then, yeah, sometimes less is more, right? They want to be heard and want to be,
Yeah.
and that's really crucial too. Know your audience. Ashley mentioned that, right? Know your audience and know the person. You kind of get a feel before they're coming in because you've probably spoken to them on the phone or received communication from them. Yeah, sometimes people just want to talk and let them be heard, and you can learn more that way about what their needs are than anything, right? Because they're going to share
Mhm.
what's important as they communicate, like what they've seen at other centers, maybe that they're shopping, and it'll allow you to pick up kind of ways to differentiate your offering relative to others they've looked at. So,
Mhm.
um, which company do you use to manage your media marketing? I think there's so many out there, right? Like, we want to be agnostic here, but there's a lot of opportunity out there for you to get help from agencies. Or do you use an agency, I guess, for like your content
Uh,
or yourself?
no, I have a leadership member that's really great at it, so I just pull on her. To
Okay.
be honest, I'm
Yeah.
like, since she loves it, it's a bucket filler for her. So I'm like, let it rip. You can do it.
Yeah, that's nice if you have somebody in-house to do it, for sure. And there's other like there are opportunities out there for marketing agencies that specialize in childcare
Hmm.
development as well. I know that there's partners with the childcare success group that
Yeah.
they can refer you to, that can help with that if you want to get a kickstart. But yeah, finding somebody internally that fills their cup is like that's a big win for both
Hmm.
for you and for that person. So,
Yeah.
what if a parent tells you that they're oversharing? Do you exclude that parent or no? I mean, it's a good one. I don't know. Ashley, have you ever had anybody that said, "Hey, stop! I get too much from you."
I've had a parent say like, "Oh, I missed this email about Water Day because I get a lot of updates." And I just go, "Oh, okay." Like it just, like I've never had someone pointedly tell me that,
Yeah.
because that's like what they like the most typically. But if they did, like if we're living in that world where someone's saying that, then I would like specifically ask them like, in what area? Can you tell me more about that? And kind of dig a little deeper.
And you're never going to make every family 100% happy. Like there's
No.
spectrum of parents, that you deal with. Some more involved than others, and some have way different expectations than others. I think never be too hard on yourself, right? Like you're doing an
Yeah.
awesome job, and no parent is or family is the same, and their expectations are all a little bit different here and there.
Oh
So
yeah.
um, it's okay to
I
make.
mean, I have some parents that don't even log into our software. So they never even see pictures and they like don't care. But they're like very old school parents. Their child is like their eighth and she's their last. And so by this point, they're like, I don't want to see anything. So like I know they're never logging in, right? So they're the ones if you have like a relationship.
Meet children. Oh, I can't.
I know every day I'm like, I have one and it's like too much. So
I have two, and they're blessings, but eight? Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I don't know if I want blessings, actually. I don't know if I want eight blessings. Um, awesome. Well, we're coming up on time here. Don't want to hold you back, and unless there's any more questions, but thanks for making the time today to join us.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Ash, any parting words before we close it up for the day? And happy weekend for everybody.
Just you're all doing an amazing job. Just know that. If no one tells you that this week, just hear it. You're doing great. And it's rough out there.
Yeah, and thank you as a
But you
parent.
got it.
Yeah, as a parent of two, couldn't like you guys are so important to the fabric of the communities you serve. Like my wife and I work
Mhm.
full time, and we rely on you so heavily, and we really do appreciate everything you do. And it's you probably don't hear it enough. So you're so important to the economy and everything and the community. And
Mhm.
thank you for everything you do. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, everybody.
Awesome.
Happy August. Have a good weekend and enjoy the rest of the summer. Talk to you all soon.
Yeah. Nice seeing you. Have a great one.